you know, when I was a kid, my nickname was Apple, and things go a full circle. But today we're here at an organization that I'm super proud to share with all of you. They're doing amazing things in San Diego. So Vince, I've been involved with Feeding San Diego, I think even before you were here, and it's something that's near and dear to my heart, but I think a lot of the viewers might not know what Feeding San Diego actually does.
Well, thank you so much, Sean, for your support. And you have been a longtime supporter of this important work, and we really thank you for that. Feeding San Diego was started about 13 years ago by a group of San Diegans who realized that 40% of the food in our county was getting thrown away every single day, which is more than enough to solve hunger. So they said, let's start an organization with a completely different approach to this problem. Let's go rescue all the food that's going to waste while it is still healthy, fresh, and nutritious, and let's get it to families in need and solve this problem across our community. So what started as a small idea has become 26 million meals per year going out to people across our community struggling with hunger, and it is providing vital hunger relief at a time now, especially during COVID-19, when so many San Diegans find themselves unable to meet their household expenses, unable to be sure that they're going to have enough food for themselves and their children. So this is really a time for Feeding San Diego, and we have stepped up and are meeting an incredibly huge demand across the county.
How have you adapted? Because right now the restaurants maybe that you're getting food from, or I know Starbucks is a big contributor, or all the grocery stores. How are you actually getting the food now in a time where your need has expanded?
No, it's a great question, because we started a Starbucks program right here in San Diego at Feeding San Diego with one store. We now rescue food from 207 Starbucks locations across San Diego County every night of the year. And the San Diego pilot has expanded to 60% of Starbucks stores across the United States, and they anticipate being in 100% of stores by the end of the year. But as you indicated, a lot of those stores have been closed during the first 6 weeks of this pandemic response. Fortunately for us, those stores are now starting to reopen, and we're seeing a return to the normal levels of product that we were rescuing prior to COVID-19. But during that interval, we saw a steep decline, and many other restaurants and other sources of donated food have declined. About 30% overall decline in the amount of food we were able to rescue, while demand went substantially higher. So we've actually had to resort to purchasing food to close that gap between decreased rescue food and increased demand. And what had normally been about 2 truckloads a month of purchased food, with the rest being rescued food, we now have had to purchase 161
Wow.
truckloads of food in just the last 8 weeks, which is an astounding amount of food that we're bringing into the county. But the truth of the matter is, we couldn't do it without community support, and this community has been very generous to Feeding San Diego in recognizing that this is a moment where food insecurity, which is a fancy way of saying hunger, is really on the rise, and we want all the families across this county to have enough to eat every single day.
I understand that it's usually 1 out of 6 people that are food insecure. Has that number gone up?
It's gone up by 50%. It's astounding. We are seeing on average a 40 to 50% increase in the number of families that show up to our food distribution sites. But I got to tell you, as heartbreaking as that statistic is, it is so heartwarming to see families in their cars picking up their food, and to see the response that they have, because for many of these families, that is the one hopeful, optimistic, compassionate thing that's going to happen to them that day.
And they can count on it.
And they can count on it. We set out at the beginning of this crisis, as you know, Sean, to create a stable, scheduled set of distributions across the entire county, from Oceanside in the north to San Ysidro in the south, and all the way out to Borrego Springs in the east. And those scheduled distributions are happening on a regular, predictive schedule. So families don't have to start each day wondering, oh my gosh, where are we going to find food today? They can go to our food finder map on our website, they can zoom in on their neighborhood, and they're going to know where they can consistently access this important resource. And so people are never far from a food distribution, and some families just need some help. They have some money to put toward food purchases, and they might come once a month. And then honestly, there are other families that are just in such dire straits that they are coming, 2 to 3 times a month to food distributions to pick up that healthy, fresh produce that you see behind us, as well as some canned and boxed goods like proteins, chicken, meats, beans, etc.
And then I know you distribute, like I say, at churches, at other nonprofit organizations. One of my favorite nonprofits is Ocean Discovery Institute, and you've partnered with them previously for the afternoon or end of the week type backpack programs, but now it's a distribution site, I believe, every day of the week.
Every single day of the week. And I have to say, Ocean Discovery Institute is just a gem. It is a model of an incredibly important educational opportunity for our youth that brings so many different goals and agendas together. And so we are so proud to partner with them. Ocean Discovery Institute, seeing that their community of City Heights was so impacted by unemployment as a result of this economic crisis that we find ourselves in, that they stepped up and partnered with us to create a daily prepared meal distribution for youth.
Wow.
And every single youth is going to get a prepared meal delivered to them at that daily distribution.
Well, I have a question because obviously your costs have gone way up. How are you managing those costs? Are you having consistent donors or new donors, or?
Well, it's because of you, Sean. It's because of you and people like you who take time out of their very busy lives to say, what is going on in this community that needs my personal attention above and beyond running my business, taking care of my family and friends? What else needs to be done? And they look down the street and they see families struggling. They look in their kids' schools, they see families struggling. They look at our active duty military families and veteran communities, and they see people struggling. And they say, well, who's going to help bridge that gap? Feeding San Diego. So you have raised a tremendous amount of support for this organization. So thank you for what you do.
How can people get involved with Feeding San Diego? I know donations are great, but I also know you need help inside the warehouses too, and or distribution sites, correct?
Well, we are definitely putting a premium on financial support, and donors are coming to feedingsandiego.org. Another great thing is when people like yourself, through this wonderful program, educate the community to say, look, go to feedingsandiego.org. There's a food finder map. You can zoom in on your neighborhood. No forms or paperwork. You know, you're going to be protected by allowed to stay in your car with the windows up, and you're going to get food in your trunk. All those things are so important to people that are struggling with this issue for the first time in their lives. If people have a food handler training card and they're 18 or over, we welcome their volunteer services here at the distribution center. But people who don't meet that tight screen are welcome to volunteer at local community distribution points, and there are about 300 of them that we work with all across San Diego County. So plenty of opportunities for volunteering.
Well, thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you so much, Sean. Thanks for helping us to get the word out to the community.
Absolutely.